got American Magic just starting above the line, going to do a final dip to get across the line with 5 seconds to go. It's American Magic looking good to me, lining up with 2, 1, and American Magic off the line. What a start.
Well, the boats are all over the place, and the only one who got time on distance was American Magic, and they are good to go. And you've got Lingy Red Bull Racing still stuck further up the course, but we are away in racing.
Yeah, these two boats, American Magic, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli down towards the leeward end. They got beautiful starts. Ineos, Britannia coming off on port. Emirates Team New Zealand coming off on starboard wooden end. Ineos here are the giveaway boat. New Zealand are managing to squeeze around the bow, and that has meant a touchdown for GBR.
Let's go onto the water. What is going on with Ineos and also a Lingy Red Bull, Glenn?
Yeah, look, in the last sort of minute and a half before the start, Breeze just dropped a click. I think caught a few teams out on that one, and I think at the moment it's going to be all about staying on the foils. These first few manoeuvres are going to be absolutely critical. Another pulse of breeze coming down from the top of the course, so they'll be doing everything they possibly can to link those two pressure lines up and stay on the foils.
Yeah, it's looking really tough out there. Ineos Britannia stuck at the moment in the middle of the course, off the foils, but it looks like Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli and American Magic have both made their tack stick on that left-hand side boundary and are coming back across to the middle of the course foiling. Orient Express Racing up on the foils. Brilliant tack there by them to get back onto starboard and hopefully back in the race.
The game here is about staying on the foils, and certainly the boats tracking this way, USA, Italy, did make their first tack stick. New Zealand have also now tacked on the far left. They are on the foils. Advantage probably to Emirates Team New Zealand, although American Magic are matching them, certainly paralleling towards the right-hand side. American Magic would be about in the middle of the course.
Glenn, how much are these boats losing in these tacks? Can you tell from the water?
Yeah, I think they're both basically losing about 6 to 8 knots of boat speed in each of these manoeuvres in these conditions. They're really trying to keep the boats sailing really fast in this. Really doing a great job. American Magic actually ripping across the course here. We'll see attack from there fairly shortly, just in front of Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
So just keep your eye on the bottom of the screen if you want to follow who's where as far as the race is concerned. We're on leg 1 of 6 here in Vilanova, and Emirates Team New Zealand hold the lead from American Magic, followed by Orient Express Racing, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, and Ineos Britannia and Lingy Red Bull Racing just in a wee bit of bother.
Yeah, these 4 boats, it's pretty nail-biting actually as to who's going to come out on top towards the second half of this first upwind leg. We've got a crucial cross here. Looks like Emirates Team New Zealand are across American Magic, so just sneaking into the lead, but they've got another tack to do pretty soon.
Each tack is really key to this upwind leg, staying on the foils. It's very close between New Zealand and American Magic. New Zealand were behind off the line, but they've really been able to put the pedal to the metal. Now, Glenn, what I am seeing here is it looks like the New Zealanders use slightly less cant than everyone else. Their foils are tucked under the boat a little bit more. Just talk us through cant versus righting moment.
A really nice tack there by Emirates Team New Zealand. Very polished manoeuvre, that one. They are running a fractionally more tucked under cant than I think some of the other teams. American Magic quite similar compared to some of the other boats, but they're doing a really nice job keeping the boat moving quickly. A little acceleration coming into the tack, a couple of knots of speed build, making sure they had plenty of pace to actually get through the manoeuvre and then re-accelerate the boat quickly. So some slight different setups, and the top end of the course here is going to be very interesting.
They'll be ducking.
No, definitely not lane, so it's just getting past them.
Magic go forward down now. They're on a pretty tight lay for me, Magic.
Starting to build here, guys.
Yep, starting, yeah, nice. And they're about 10 away, and I don't even think they're laying peak. They might come up.
Yes, they are. They're definitely
5 seconds to hit them.
2, 1, what's down? Yeah, keep Northern Market, you guys.
9.
Really aggressive move there by Emirates Team New Zealand, attacking in phase with American Magic, right on top of them, giving them maximum dirt and really making their life pretty hard here at the top of the first leg.
Heading towards the first mark for the very first time, top mark for the first time, and it will be Emirates Team New Zealand that will round the mark, but boy, they are doing it tough and have touched down.
Yeah, they had to squeeze for the mark. They were slightly underlaid, and that has meant New Zealand have touched down. The other boats are on the foils, so we've got the French going to the left-hand mark. This is a problem for Emirates Team New Zealand. They squeezed for the mark, fell off the foils. Could see a lead change here, and it will be Orient Express Racing on the foils, round the mark clean.
I mean, what a leg from Orient Express Racing to just keep their boat up and foiling, get through those manoeuvres and get round that mark, foiling away from the rest of the fleet. Absolutely amazing.
Well, considering Orient Express Racing prior to the start had touchdown and was struggling to get up on their foils.
Exactly, and now it is New Zealand struggling to get on the foils. In the meantime, it will be Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, sailed right round underneath Emirates Team New Zealand. So they will be happy about that one. Next jibe will be crucial.
Ride this out, you got 150 now. Try, keep this smooth.
So American Magic have round the top mark for the first time. Just take a look at that board. Orient Express Racing, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, American Magic, Emirates Team New Zealand, Lingy Red Bull Racing, Ineos Britannia still looking for them.
Yeah, and it looks light coming back across the middle of the course on Orient Express Racing.
Race committee, you've got to get the helicopters away.
Their angle coming back out of that jibe, it almost looked like they were going back upwind. They had to keep it so high. Glenn, can you talk to us a little bit about what it's like in these boats in this condition?
Race committee, we really need helicopters away. We are really struggling here.
Not sure Glenn can quite hear us, so we'll go back to him in a bit.
New Zealand have still not got on the foils. They've had to tack, and now they're coming back towards the gate. So they're literally sailing back and forth across, reaching across the top of the course, not having any luck getting on the foils. Once you fall off the foils, you lose all that energy, all that ability to get the flow over the foils, to lift it out of the water, and that was brought about by slightly underlaying the top mark.
Well, stranger things have happened. Here come a Lingy Red Bull Racing approaching the top mark for the first time.
This is the race committee. We are shortening this course to 4 legs. Shortening to 4 legs.
So we are a quarter of the way through the race now. Originally 6 legs, down to 4.
Well, for Orient Express Racing, they'll be happy to hear with down to 4 legs, 2 laps. Keep it on the foils, keep pushing. Oh, they get a touchdown. Oh, it's getting right at the bottom end.
Boundary penalty, Italy, boundary penalty, Italy.
We just saw 2 guys to leeward, Kevin Pepinay and Jason Saunders, just getting up out of the cockpit and going to the windward side. Glenn, what are those guys doing down there?
Breeze is dropping slowly here. Luna Rossa, I think, the only one. Looks like they're just touching down there, coming out of it. Breeze has definitely dropped about a knot compared to what it was when we started. So very unfortunate, but Mother Nature dealing another crucial blow to this racing. So be interesting to see how it pans out over the next little bit. But yeah, unfortunately, just a little breeze drop here.
Well, now, Glenn, we're in the situation if one of the boats can get back on the foils, they could steal a bit of a march here. How do you...
Yeah, look, there's breeze actually rolling down the right-hand side of the course at the moment. So I think the boats that are actually heading over towards the right-hand side of the course, looking upwind, there's just a fraction more pressure there. So I think American Magic heading over here will possibly be the first boat back on the foils, potentially. So it is a tricky race when you start low riding in these boats. They are not designed to be displacement yachts. They're very much designed to be in the air. So the crews will be doing everything they possibly can to look for that next line of pressure, to do everything they can to get back on the foils again.
Any thoughts on why Emirates Team New Zealand are so high on the course?
I think the guys did a little mistake just at the top there. They probably didn't realise just how light the breeze was at the top end of the course, possibly just tacked a click too early to make it round that right turn. And when you've got to squeeze the boat up into the breeze when you're trying to accelerate, you're actually losing speed when you're actually wanting to build speed. So a little mistake there possibly, and that's cost them dearly coming off the foils. And once you're off the foils, you need about a knot increase in pressure to get yourself back up again compared to when you're already foiling.
Just talk us through, Glenn, these guys out of their cockpit. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to achieve?
They're actually looking to just increase the righting moment of the boat slightly. So in an old school displacement sense, they'll actually be trying to put more weight on the windward rail. So to actually help with the boat rolling over, to be able to use a little more power in the rig. As the foils are going quite slowly through the water, they don't generate much righting moment compared to what the rig is. So the boats actually want to fall over when they're not going very fast. So they'll jump out of the cockpit and they'll try and swing the boat down until they're going fast. They can also see the breeze a bit better from standing up, and they'll be doing everything they can to spot that next puff.
Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli, Jimmy Spittel and Francesco Bruni asking for the helicopters, Heli 1 and Heli 2, to go away. Let's just see what is going through their head at the moment.
No, it's coming back. I'll just leave the flap like around 6
Luno
or 7.
Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
No, I think you, we can do that. We can do that.
And do the jib outer here.
Wait, yeah, nice guys. I don't want to oversteer, you know.
Yeah, copy.
We are doing a good job. We are maybe a little bit slower than the Americans, but VMG-wise, I don't see us losing here.
So Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli have actually flagged away trying to get on the foils. They're sailing displacement mode, so they're sailing a deeper angle, pointing closer to the bottom mark, just trying to increase the gauge, increase that gauging distance from American Magic.
Nice. That's the way to do it, guys.
Good to coming down with this one.
7 knots. Americans are doing a little higher mode.
You have to love how calm they are on these boats. You know, they're racing for points, remember? 10 points for first, 7 for second, 5 for third. It goes 3, 2, 1, and those with the most points by the end of racing tomorrow get to match race the final, a good old match race, which we're looking forward to. But we always said at the beginning of this regatta, you know, if you drop these boats down, you're in trouble. So now you get to see sailors at their best, the best sailing teams, because they're all on one design boats.
Yeah, and mode change. There's a mode change here. Glenn, just talk to us a little bit about Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli. They're sailing with the main sheet out. They looks like they're sailing like boats that I used to sail in, mate.
High-performance sailing sometimes, you know, requires you to change gears, and when you've got a gearbox as big as these AC40s, the gear that you don't really want to use is the displacement gear. But these guys have all, you know, sailed these boats around the track, and, you know, like seeing a Formula One race in the wet in heinous conditions, it really brings out the best of the drivers. You know, it really is quite a leveler. So these guys have all done a lot of displacement sailing growing up over the years, and sometimes, you know, those lessons that you learn actually growing up, you know, you can put into these high-performance boats, and they'll be looking well up the track at the moment, looking for what's coming down, basing their moding off all the other boats.
This is the race committee.
They'll be trying their hardest.
We are shortening this race to 2 legs. Finish at the leeward gate.
So you heard race committee say we're on the final run home.
Yeah, absolute sprint to the bottom marks here. I mean, I'd be interested how much sailing these guys have done in displacement mode. I feel like they might be learning on the job here.
Well, it's not what the boats are designed for, and it's not something you'd necessarily see it as a high priority. 2 legs down to the finish. Time limits are starting to come into play. 10 minutes a leg, 20 minutes for the race.
So they're on the last half of the race course, and currently Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli sit in the pole position for that 10 points, followed by Orient Express Racing, American Magic, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Ineos Britannia, and Emirates Team New Zealand, the defender for the 37th America's Cup. Mother Nature has been cruel this weekend so far.
Yeah, she's not making it easy for these teams out there. And, you know, with the downwind leg to the finish, the fear when you're near the front in this type of condition is that, you know, the wind starts to fill in from behind and the boats behind will get that next patch of breeze before you. So it's always pretty stressful when you're leading, the wind's gone light, and it's the final leg to the finish.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, full displacement mode. Sails eased out, just trying to get down to the finish as they now go into a jibe. And this will be a little bit painful for them as they now turn the boat through basically 90 degrees to try and build a bit of acceleration.
So Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, like the rest of the fleet, in a stalemate position. Weather has decided that it went from 6 legs down to 2 legs. So we're on the run home, and runners pushing it. We're on the crawl home, but it doesn't matter. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli sitting in the #1 position, and they're looking for wind. Orient Express Racing, top left of your screen. They're the new kids on the block, but we're heading in towards the last quarter of the field of play, as you might say.
Just look at that advantage line, so 90 degrees to the course. Orient Express Racing look to have quite a nice angle coming over from the right-hand side. They're looking directly over at Luna Rossa, Prada coming across. American Magic are coming across. I'm just looking to see where the French team are.
So come on, Glenn, on the water. Who are you going to call? We've got Orient Express Racing coming from the left-hand side, and we've got Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli from the right. What's it looking like?
I think Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli are looking just like they're just a little in front at the moment. They're doing a really nice job, actually, in these conditions to keep the foil arms clear of the water, keeping the platform nice and level, keeping that leeward foil arm, which is actually a big carbon fibre arm, which actually holds the whole weight of the boat and crew up out of the water. Just keeping that out of the water at the moment. It's normally well and truly in the air, but keeping that up out of the water is key. Having said that, though, the French are pretty handy and pretty slippery in the light airs, and they might have actually just got a little puff down that side. It's going to actually be quite close coming down here. I'll hand it back to you guys to see what you think.
Well, what we think right now is we see that the French are closing in on Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. As you can see in the bottom of the screen, you can see Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli own the lead, and the gap to Orient Express Racing sits around 3 to 4 meters in what wind we are dealing with.
Yeah, and Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli are on starboard, so they have the right of way. So Orient Express Racing coming back across here. If they're any sort of collision course, they're going to have to get out of the way, and it looks like they think they might be across.
Yeah. Oh, that's a pretty aggressive move. So that is Orient Express jibing right on the top, and we could actually see now that the French team, Orient Express, have put themselves in a difficult position being the windward boat. I'm a bit surprised that they jibed there, given that the team still have at least 1 or 2 jibes before they could get down to the finish. So now we've got Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli coming over towards the right-hand side. Orient Express heading towards the centre of the track. But when they come back on the next jibe, again, it will be advantage to the Italians.
Umpires, we are protesting France.
What number were you on, Dre? 28.
I'm amazed at the French jibe there, putting themselves in a really tough spot. I think they must have thought they were across and then thought maybe not, so put a jibe in, and yeah, they put themselves.
Umpires, Italy, we protest Team France.
This is the umpires, penalty Italy, relative France.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. Okay.
So the decision has gone in favour of Orient Express Racing in terms of that intersection. Francesco Bruni.
Can you see on the screen if we're losing? I think we're almost jibing here, Kiko. Yeah.
Penalty clear, penalty clear.
So we've got another look at that incident here. So it looks like the French boat completed their jibe. Yeah, that looks like a tough one to call.
I'm sure that it will be talked about after the race.
I'm not sure about you, but if I was Kevin Pepinay sitting on that port home, I was looking at that rather large foil coming at me, just slightly concerned.
This is not over yet, though. We've got another intersection coming up, and it will be Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli who is right away, although it does look like Orient Express Racing have got a nice little roll on there. And, of course, with that penalty, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli did have to allow... It gave an advantage in terms of distance on the water to Orient Express Racing.
So they are heading towards the finish line on a shortened race in the opening race of this preliminary regatta here in Vilanova Ila Geltru. And they say it doesn't matter how you win, so long as you win. And in many ways, this is the first upset of the regatta, because the team that hasn't had their boat as long as anyone else is going to get the win. Orient Express Racing take maximum 10 points from the first race. They may not have raced across the line, but they got across the line, and it should see Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli take the 7 points for second spot.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Amazing result for Orient Express Racing. They've only had their AC40 for 3 weeks. They've done a lot of time in the simulator leading up to this, but not a lot of time racing the AC40, so an absolutely brilliant performance for them in race 1.
Happy on board.
And that's important. I think, you know, you confidence comes with a win no matter how you get the win. And confidence then flows throughout a team.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win, you know. No one remembers what the conditions were like. It's a win on the board. That's a phenomenal performance. Really pleased for those guys.
And you know what? Well deserved considering their start.
But they just kept their heads down, and it's about dealing with difficult situations. And I think that's a sign of a very composed team, good decision making as American Magic drift down towards the line.
How teams manage difficult situations is a good sign moving forward.
Well, it's a sign that they didn't panic. And at that same time, they were off the foils, and we go right back to the start. They recovered from that. They looked at what was happening ahead of them. The New Zealanders made a bit of a mistake, just slightly underlaying Mark 1, and they pounced.
Should be just through there.
Cop.
Now.
American Magic getting their nose over the line. A little over 2 minutes behind Orient Express Racing, but they are finished and will pick up 5 points for the third placing. Looks like a sign of frustration on Tom Slingsby's face.
This is the umpires. Italy, URW score did not start in this race. You never started correctly.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's go on board the race-winning yacht for race number 1, Quentin de la Pierre. Congratulations, buddy, 10 points. Let's try again. Quentin and Stephen McIver on ACTV commentary. Congratulations, you get the first win. Doesn't matter how you win, you got the win.
Yeah, mate, that's a pretty good feeling, to be honest. Actually, it's tricky condition, but yeah, we managed to manage the boat on displacement mode, and it works pretty well for the last downwind. Yeah, quite a good feeling, to be honest.
Quentin, it's Peter Lester here. Just talk to us about that, the incident on the last downwind leg, port starboard with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Just talk us through your decision making.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to push the limit on the last downwind, and this jibe against Luna Rossa was mostly a match racing move, just to get the good side of the downwind side and try to get advantage before the finish line.
Hey, Quantan, Hannah here. Just what's it like sailing these boats in displacement mode? You know, we know you guys have done a lot of foiling around, but have you done much practice in this type of mode? Were you kind of figuring it out as you go?
No, Anna, we didn't do any training in displacement mode, but yeah, we try to follow our feeling and try to do it as good as we can. And also, as you well know, try to follow the wind and get the right shift.
Quantan, thanks for your time. Nice belated birthday present for you and Orient Express Racing.
Thank you, guys.
Well, no one saw that one coming. No one in the fleet saw that one coming. Full stop.
Never, ever underestimate an underdog. And I just think that this just kicks off this regatta with something special. Any of these teams are capable of winning an individual race, without a doubt. 12 seconds to go, and this is for Alinghi Red Bull Racing. If they can maintain foils, they're going to be strong, but they're still heading away from the start line. So coming up to the
This is the umpires.
race
OCS, GBR, New Zealand, Italy, and Swiss. You all have to restart.
Wow.
GBR clear.
All those boats are behind the line. GBR are clear. You can see GBR clearly behind the line. The rest are still to return. Glenn, that was a pretty tricky start, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing, they're coming back foiling. They must be looking strong.
The only boat on the foils, they went out, they did a beautiful manoeuvre, and the other team's deciding to low ride back to the line. So Alinghi coming downwind here, they have to get across the start line to leeward, make sure the boat's fully across, get the electronic diamond across the start line itself, which it looks like they're doing now. They'll harden up onto the breeze here and try and get through the line to actually start. So they're actually in pretty good shape at the moment.
So we do have a start in race number 2 of this preliminary regatta, and the one team that are up and falling at this point are Alinghi Red Bull Racing. The majority of the fleet working to get up on the foils and get back over the line to count in the points when it matters.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredibly tricky race. I think a lot of sweaty palms in those boats while they're waiting for a little bit of pressure just to get the boat up on the foils. But we're looking at Alinghi Red Bull Racing here. It'd be interesting to hear their comms coming into this boundary and how they put the tack in.
Yep. 3, 2, 1. On now. 8. Pull up into 1. Pull up. Okay, nice one. Increasing. Increasing 2. 1. Increase now. Slowly making.
So Alinghi Red Bull Racing with a solid tack and looking stronger than the majority of the field, the fleet.
They did that beautifully. They've got the apparent wind forward, apparent wind angles well forward, apparent wind speed is high because they're foiling, and they can just use that momentum of apparent wind speed to keep the boat flying. All the boats behind them are off the foils, and if Alinghi Red Bull Racing can keep going here and not fall off the foils.
Yeah, I wouldn't count your chickens yet, Peter. This race has got a long way to go. It's not over till it's over. It's going to be some tense moments still to come, I think.
But when we talk about teams that have pulled a surprise on day 2, maybe it's going to be Alinghi Red Bull Racing following on from what Orient Express Racing did in the opening race. So just take a look. We're on leg 1 of 4 going upwind, and it's Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing sitting marginally in that P2 position, followed by Ineos Britannia, American Magic, Emirates Team New Zealand, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
So we might ask the question, how come Alinghi Red Bull Racing are the only boat foiling? Well, in the pre-start with 1:30 to go, they were foiling, and they just managed to zigzag their way across the wind, keep foiling. Although they were late for the start, their priority was to keep the boat elevated, and they did that really, really nicely. In the meantime, everyone around them had touched down. Now they are reaping the benefit.
Yeah, they are racing up the middle of the course, although they are approaching the next boundary, so it's going to be a big moment here again for them as to whether they can get through that tack and stay up on the foils. And it looks to me they just managed to do it. Glenn, can you just talk us through what they're doing in these really light air tacks to just keep the boat up and foiling?
Oh, these guys, they're just on the edge of coming off the foil, but I think they've managed to stay up there just right on the edge there. Really, really, you know, they would have been literally white knuckling it to dig that out of the hole, and they have in that tack. That was a really impressive light air tack. The other teams are still low riding, so with Alinghi being able to stay on the foils, you know, in that pre-start, which was largely set up by their shore teams and their on-water teams, they can stay on the tow line until 3 minutes to go. So all boats were getting pulled behind their chase boats, their pit crew, if you like, and that choreography of that setup is absolutely key to putting yourself in the right position. That positioning of your pit crew is absolutely crucial, and what we're seeing at the moment is they've just got up on the foils, managed to stay up, bridged a few lulls in the breeze, and they're extending away upwind. So this next manoeuvre for them will be absolutely critical.
Now, Glenn, they're heading over to the left-hand boundary. Can they get far enough into the boundary to lay that top mark gate?
That's a really good question, Peter. In these conditions, the angles change a lot. You only go up and down 0.2, 0.3 of a knot, and your lay lines change massively. So their software that they'll be looking at, which actually helps them get to those top marks, will be moving around a lot as the wind goes up and down. So they'll be very much sailing a heads out of the boat type of day and trying to sort of best guess, if you like, what that software will be indicating to them going forwards, and also looking up the track to be able to see what's coming down. They're just pulling off another tack now, watching them go through. I think they've managed to keep the boat on the foils, but again, it will be absolutely touch and go. If they can get to the top around the top mark, they should be able to make it downwind in good shape and will be gone.
Might turn anyway all the way down, and we'll see where it ends. Est-ce que vous pensez qu'on voudra faire des virements ou des jacks? Tu vois. We'll see, Max, what we are. Minimize the maneuvers. Going all the way to the right mark.
Well, they are touch and go on this ley line coming in here. We don't want to see a repeat of what happened to Emirates Team New Zealand in the first race, where they were really tight on the ley. They had to come up, they slowed down, the boat fell off the foils, but it just looks like they're going to get round okay here.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing are showing the fleet their tail, and they will be the first around the top mark in race number 2 in this preliminary regatta. The rest of the fleet are looking in wonderment as saying, how are you doing that? All Alinghi Red Bull Racing is saying as well, we're doing it. Catch us if you can. They're handling this extremely well.
Just keep the boat elevated, avoid the touchdown, and I think Glenn touched on a very, very smart point about the battle of the chase boat drivers and at what angle do they release the boat at that 3-minute countdown pre-start, because right now that is the big moment. Alinghi being able to be on the foils for the whole 3 minutes in the pre-start as they go into their first jibe. A little bit of windward helm there. We look at the boat speed of Alinghi Red Bull Racing. It's just about, is it starting to drop? We're looking for an acceleration. Yes, it's starting to come back up.
Touch and go on board Alinghi Red Bull Racing. That was as close as it comes, but they managed to keep it up on the foils and through that first jibe, racing down the downwind leg.
Quite simply, Alinghi Red Bull Racing at this race looks slick.
They've learned. There's been some pretty serious analysis of what they learned on that first practice day. second boat up, so it's Emirates Team New Zealand. They've managed to get their boat up foiling. Can they hold it up there? Once the boat starts foiling, and it's at about 17 knots, speed increases, they get the boat up on the foils. And the next crucial moment for Emirates Team New Zealand will be this first tack as they come towards the right-hand boundary. Nice tack.
So two boats foiling. Alinghi Red Bull Racing and now Emirates Team New Zealand, who are yet to make the top mark, as Alinghi Red Bull Racing are heading on down to the second leg.
Now New Zealand have Orient Express Racing right on their bow. They are electing to sail to windward, and the windward boat, in terms of the rules, is required to keep clear. There's not an issue there now, but it is incumbent on Emirates Team New Zealand to keep clear to windward as they sail past Orient Express Racing.
Yeah, I think that was a really smart call from Emirates Team New Zealand. You know, that it was really risky to go below Orient Express Racing just in case that wind, what's the word? What am I looking for, Peter?
The wind drops, they fall into a hole.
The wind shadow, my mind went there. The wind shadow from Orient Express Racing could have just crippled the wind enough to take them off the foils, but they managed to keep foiling and get past, and they are now comfortably in second place.
Two boats foiling. We've got Alinghi Red Bull Racing on leg 2, heading down to the bottom mark. Now Emirates Team New Zealand managed to get their boat out of the water without the assistance of the chase boat. I think that's significant, that they can release the boat in this amount of air. But here's our race leader, Alinghi Red Bull Racing. They haven't put a foot wrong.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing are in full race mode, and that's what we want to see of these AC40s. We did say the most important thing was they're all identical boats, but how good your team is will determine where you finish up.
Glenn, just the ability to get, it's one thing to get towed up onto the foils. To actually sail your boat up onto the foils, that's a pretty big challenge for Emirates Team New Zealand, and they pulled it off.
Yes, it definitely is. You know, they just managed to get into a slight little bit more breeze, you know, than the rest of the fleet. And I'm just watching Alinghi at the moment, and I think they may have pooched that jibe, and this will be massive in the race for them. They just didn't quite pull off the jibe. Emirates Team New Zealand now still foiling at the top of the course. Alinghi are going to have to get on their diggers and dig themselves out of a big hole. They're going to need a big excavator bucket on here to get up and going, because Emirates Team New Zealand are charging at the top of the course, and they'll mow them down super quickly here.
Yeah, confirm that one, Glenn. They are well off the fours, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, so the rabbit's on its way to catch it potentially. The Emirates Team New Zealand have rounded the top mark and are now chasing down Alinghi Red Bull Racing. The other four boats in the fleet still struggling to get up on their foils.
Stephen, this reminds me of race 7 of the America's Cup, the 36 America's Cup, where you had massive lead change. As look at Alinghi Red Bull Racing, they had windward heel, they had a lot of drag from that windward foil, and that just meant touchdown. And that is just the difference between doing an excellent jibe and just not quite getting the timing right. And they settle down into the water. Now they've got the challenge. Can they get their boat back on the foil? Can the New Zealanders keep foiling as they come down leg 2?
If you remember race 7 and the match, Emirates Team New Zealand were actually stuck at the top mark, and Luna Rossa was stuck at the bottom mark. At least this time, if you're a fan of Emirates Team New Zealand, they're up and flying.
Yeah, but it's the same deal. There was a leg in it, remember, at race 7 of the last America's Cup, and the New Zealanders managed to foil, and Luna Rossa at that time fell down into the water, and we're seeing that same situation here.
Kind of look like they're almost going to take off. Yep, they're airborne just to leeward of us. Alinghi's still off the foil.
Good catch.
It'll win this way, eh? Yeah, it looks real good on the boundary.
Worse at the top mark and top right. Actually, just top mark in general.
still your catch with Basin.
Oh, sorry, man. Just trying to keep it deep through the lull. We're about 40 out. We'll just pace it up with the top.
Yeah.
Bloody light here.
Reckon we'll get any build up? There's going to be more wind in 10, I reckon, just slightly, but need the pace for it.
I'm starting to think about pacing up now.
Yeah.
Emirates Team New Zealand now on the hunt of Alinghi Red Bull Racing in race number 2 of the first preliminary regatta for the 37th America's Cup. Alinghi Red Bull Racing got off to an absolute flyer, then basically fluffed the jibe on the second leg of 4, and finally Emirates Team New Zealand got up in their fours, and they are coming hard at them. We're almost halfway through race number 2.
Just have a look at Emirates Team New Zealand's jibe as they come through. They'll be mindful, trying not to touch down. Alinghi now sailing displacement mode to the bottom mark gate. New Zealand are doing double the speed, so the displacement mode, they're doing just under 9 knots. If you're in foiling mode, you're in the mid-20s. It's a huge speed differential with the foiling technology, with the ability to foil. There it is, only 7 knots for Alinghi.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty tense moment on board Alinghi, watching Alinghi Red Bull Racing, watching Emirates Team New Zealand charging them down, closing the gauge very, very quickly here. I think we might see an overtake.
Yes, but we've also been known not to jump to conclusions with the wind, the way the wind has been going today here in Vilanova. But on the face of it right now, Emirates Team New Zealand cannot overtake Alinghi Red Bull Racing at the completion of the second leg of 4 here in race number 2.
And for New Zealand, they have to be mindful. They don't want to get tangled up with Alinghi Red Bull Racing. The priority for Peter Burling and Nathan Outridge will be to keep the boat on the foils as they actually go quite deep, so that they can come back at the right-hand mark quite hot. They won't take the left-hand marker, they'll take the right-hand marker, so that when they do that rotation of turn round the mark, they actually do not stall out. So Emirates Team New Zealand take the lead at Mark 2.
Confirmation, Emirates Team New Zealand in the lead of race number 2, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing attempting to get back up on the foils. Third position, Orient Express Racing, followed by American Magic, Ineos Britannia, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Oh, how that must bite if you're Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
So just listening to the race management team there, the race, I believe, has been shortened to 3 legs, so they will finish at the next upwind gate.
So top mark finish. So it's Emirates Team New Zealand on the final leg now.
The big moment here for me is that the New Zealanders were able to, without assistance from their chase boat, get the boat on the foils.
This is the race committee. This race has been shortened to 3 legs. Finish at the windward gate.
We're on the last leg, 3 legs, top mark. Ian Murray and the race committee will reposition. The challenge for Emirates Team New Zealand will be to keep the boat on the foils. Glenn, harder to keep the boat on the foils upwind or downwind?
Yeah, look, basically when it gets to a really, really marginal position, you end up sailing really quite wide, so almost across the wind. So when you're sailing and you're tacking, you're basically not sailing back through your dirty air like you can do sometimes when you're going downwind. That dirty air, when you jibe and you've got to come out, back out pretty much at 90 degrees, you actually end up sailing back through your own gas or your own vortex off the mainsail. So in some senses, it's actually easier to tack. Emirates Team New Zealand coming along here now, they're sailing the boat really, really nicely. They've generated a lot of apparent wind here, and they've got the sails depowered. They're certainly not sailing at max power because they've managed to accelerate the boat. All the other teams are trying to get max power out of the sails to take off. Emirates Team New Zealand up and foiling, sailing very much now in a depowered state, reducing drag, making the boat sail faster through the water, which is actually generating more airspeed over the rig. So the faster the boat goes, the more power they have. It's a bit like a supercharger in a standard engine.
Manoeuvres are an area where you will touch down. Glenn, are they the next tack? Can they get far enough into that boundary to ley line the top mark to the finish?
Just watching them come over to this boundary now, I'm about 100 metres away from where they are, and they'll be setting up for attack here any time from now. And this tack probably is the tack of the race. If they pull this off and they can get through this a little bit lighter at the moment, you know, that'll be basically the race for them. So they're setting up for attack now, accelerating, board going down, spinning the boat, keeping a nice high ride height, managing the heel really well. This will be the critical next 10 seconds. The bustle touches, but I think they've just got enough in the bank there with a beautiful entry to pop the boat back out, reduce that drag. It's a bit like DRS in a Formula One. The DRS system is effectively getting on the foils. That's the drag reduction system. So they'll be powering the sails up through the initial part of the build phase, depowering the sails as they're accelerating, and they'll be basically going right across to the other boundary, trying to sail as fast as they can to make sure they can pull off the next manoeuvre to get around that top gate. It's basically through the top gate, which becomes the finish line in this particular race.
And to use Glenn's analogy of DRS, if you've got the fast boat, you've got DRS as well, no one's going to catch you. So Emirates Team New Zealand heading for home in race number 2. The race shortened to 3 legs, so they'll finish upwind. Alingi Red Bull Racing still struggling down at the bottom mark after having led for at least 1.5 legs. The remainder of fleet sailing around, but not the right direction.
Yeah, it's really tough for the rest of the fleet out there in displacement mode, especially watching Emirates Team New Zealand doing such a great job of keeping the boat up on the foils and getting through the manoeuvres. And yeah, it's been a pretty impressive performance from this team this race.
Glenn, with the riding moment control of these boats, what are you trying to achieve? In the lighter stuff, are you actually trying to reduce your riding moment component so that does that assist the boat to stay on the foils?
Not really, actually. What we're actually doing, you know, at the end of the day with these boats and the design of these boats is you're getting to maximum riding moment as soon as that hull clears the water, you're at maximum riding moment. So from there on, it's all about reducing drag. So, and the reduction in drag is being able to get the boat going faster, so you're not using a big flap down on the foil that's in the water. So you're basically retracting the flaps like you would on an aircraft after you've taken off to reduce drag. So that's what's happening in the water. As we get faster through the air, we're actually reducing the drag on the sail plan. So reducing the drag in the water, going faster, reducing the drag in the air, but remaining at a constant riding moment. So the weight of the boat, the weight of the crew, balancing to windward off that foil is the riding moment and the power. And from there on, it's the management of the sail plan, really, that dictates how fast the boat goes through the water, and the autopilot keeps up from there to a large extent.
So one more tack for Emirates Team New Zealand. If they can get through this and stay up on the foils, they will be home and dry, heading towards the upwind. Oh, and they've crashed and touched down.
But they've probably got enough speed, Hannah, just to cruise across the line. Emirates Team New Zealand, right before the glorious moment of crossing the finish line, drop off the foils, but it won't matter. They will crawl across the line. They'll be putting their mouths towards the sail and blowing it across the line just to get that maximum 10 points, because that's what will matter, because the top 2 teams at the end of the weekend of all the fleet races will sail off on a match race to decide who wins the inaugural regatta. Emirates Team New Zealand get across the line and will win race 2 of this preliminary regatta after being bested at the start by Alingi Red Bull Racing.
That was a near perfect race there from Emirates Team New Zealand. Once they got themselves up on the foils, sort of halfway up that first leg and managed to stay on the foils the whole way around till right before the finish there, Peter.
Hannah, I think you put the mocker on them. I mean, once they got on the foils and getting the boat on the foils without the assistance of a chase boat, that was the game changer for me. And how they achieved that, that is technique. That is technique, and maybe just managing to find a little sail of wind that they could push the boat forward. But right at the end, You were giving them a bouquet, and what happens? Touchdown.
Considering what's happening with the rest of the fleet, that's a fine sail by Emirates Team New Zealand.
Yeah, for me, just being able to get the boat on the foil, repeating itself without chase boat assistance. For Alinghi, Red Bull Racing, what might have been. They managed the pre-start beautifully. That 3 minutes when they got chase boat release, they managed to reach and keep the boat on the foils. They were a little late to the start, but it didn't matter. Everyone else would touch down. And they did the first half of the race perfectly. But then one bad jibe, and they got rolled by Team New Zealand.
So come on, Glenn, you've been in these boats. What's the difference? What are Emirates Team New Zealand doing that the others are just struggling to match?
I think really, really solid technique and communication, you know, getting the boat dug out of the water. These guys at Emirates Team New Zealand, they've done a lot of sailing together, you know, and they've reviewed a lot of you know, data from the whole program. You know, even the existing cup races that were at AC36. There's a huge amount of learning that can be done out of watching not even the exact same boats, but the techniques that are used to get these boats up and going. And I think even going back through some of that old footage, you can pick up some really good tricks of what to do and what not to do. And I think what Emirates Team New Zealand as a team have actually done today is really showcased the effort that they've put in, you know, behind the scenes, and they executed that takeoff to perfection, right in a little tiny puff. But once they could dig the boat out, they had one trigger pull, they had one go at it, and they pulled it off. And that's experience. And these other teams didn't need much to get going, but we were right on that edge. And you know, it was very, very interesting to see them take off. And once you take off, as I said before, you know, once you get up, you're away.
So Emirates Team New Zealand get the win in race number 2. They get the full points. They get 10 for this win. They had 5 in the last race, and they pick up 15 points in total after 2 races. Let's go on board and catch up with Peter Burling. Pete, congratulations on a win on race 2, but what was the secret sauce to get up on the foils?
Yeah, we just took one pretty good break in the middle there, and take this field to get it taken up. It does feel pretty confident on there. Let's try to run off to go. So on to the ship, but well.
Okay, that's the robotic version of Pete Burling. We might just hold fire for just a moment so we can maybe clean up those comms just a little bit. But the smile on the face, that's the most important thing. Emirates Team New Zealand, the defender in the 37th America's Cup, get what they wanted, like every team wants, and that is the win.
This is the umpires. Boundary penalty Italy. Boundary penalty Italy.
I wonder if we're going to go into a similar situation now with that happened in race number 1. We get one boat across, and then we'll be seeing that the other boats hopefully having made the top mark. All right, so Pete, you can hear me clearly, so congratulations on that win, and you've been explaining about getting up on the foils. How tough is it out there? How much pressure are you guys going to just keep on those foils?
Yeah, they catch on the all the time. There's no shot on the top mark of the last race, and they just dropped off the one and all the dice, and they can little legs back. Squadron obviously went if I say the others can't, I was proud of the much can't be so just take the opportunity we did that, and it was good.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time.
Well, the technology just not quite getting with us there. We couldn't quite understand. I'm sure he talked about we found a little bit of pressure, and the crew managed to get the boat back up on the foils.
This is the race committee. The time limit has been reached, and race 2 has been stopped. That concludes racing for today. Thanks for your patience, and we'll see you tomorrow.
So confirmation from race management as per it was in race 1. Positions will now be decided. We did have Emirates Team New Zealand finish at the 3rd mark, the top and upwind finish for the first time in this regatta. So the results will now be computed on them finishing and where everybody was at the bottom mark. Not that anyone reached the bottom mark apart from Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
Yeah, so that's significant. My understanding is if you didn't make Mark 2, you will not be scored. So it'll be interesting to see when the points come out. But from my understanding, Emirates Team New Zealand, there's only 2 boats that have actually finished.
Well,
Emirates
that really
Team
hurts Orient Express Racing.
Yes, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing will be scored. I don't believe anyone else gets any points.
So that is that's a hammer blow in many ways to Orient Express Racing.
We've got 10 seconds to go and everyone's lined up pretty nicely here. We've got the French ducking the fleet. Ineos Britannia leading on the left. Looks like they're going to get the best of starts. Brilliant start from Ineos Britannia there.
Away and racing, and the full fleet are a go on the first upwind leg in race number 3 of this preliminary regatta.
Yeah, the middle of the line looked nice with Ineos Britannia just slightly bow forward, and I like the look of American Magic up towards the windward end. Emirates Team New Zealand thin on the hip of the Americans, and there's a split here with Orient Express Racing, who started on port, heading over to the right-hand boundary.
Yeah, looks like we might have had a little shift in the breeze because all the boats are kind of opting to tack before they get to that boundary and come back on port tack.
Port down in 3, 2, 1, port down. Turning. Pressure to the quicker.
We're looking at the advantage line there as the French come back towards the pack. Ben Ainsley, Ineos having to dip, so they come round behind the French. Immediately ahead there of that group, we've got Alinghi, and then far on the left, it is American Magic, who got that beautiful start.
Yeah, and Orient Express Racing, they had to tack away. They got slam dunked by Alinghi Red Bull Racing and had to tack away to keep their wind clear and keep their race alive, really. We've got Emirates Team New Zealand here coming back on starboard. It looks like American Magic made a nice game by just splitting away slightly from the rest of the fleet, going a little bit further left, and now, yeah, some good gains to them.
Onto the wall, Glenn Ashby, what a start.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Just watching out the window now, Ineos Britannia unfortunately having a really terrible tack. They've actually completely fallen off the foils, so they've just made a huge loss compared to the fleet. They were right in the front row and have had a huge loss, so they'll be absolutely broken with that. American Magic doing really well, picked up a couple of nice shifts there, sailing nicely in the pressure, and it's going to be really close coming up here to the top mark as we watch Emirates Team New Zealand tacking now onto starboard and not far off laying the top left.
American Magic forced Emirates Team New Zealand to tack away. They put one right on their face. New Zealanders immediately rolled out of there. Now back, we come back for the second cross. It's still going to be American Magic from Alinghi Red Bull Racing, who were forced to tack away to clear the rear.
So we're coming into the top quarter of this first upwind leg. We've got American Magic just ahead of Emirates Team New Zealand there, followed by Alinghi Red Bull Racing also in the top. And we've got a good split at the top here.
I think the New Zealanders can live in that position down to Leeward. They will now try and gauge up towards American Magic. Listen to me on board. What's Peter Burling talking about?
24s.
He's facing up now. They've gone.
Okay. Alinghi are going to tack on the right lay line here.
There's a chance we make this, but you'll call this one thinking lay.
If you can lay, they might meet us in the zone. What do you think, Blair? I think we'll cross it. I've got us crossing them. Okay, so you just lay here and we're good. Nice, good call. Right phase.
Take a little more up when you can.
I can take the wheel when you want.
Yeah, New Zealand trying to lay that top mark. They're pinching up. If they can lay the top mark, that'll be a beautiful lay line for Emirates Team New Zealand.
It'll be a slow turn down.
And Emirates Team New Zealand on the first leg. Round the top mark first. Sitting behind them, Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Well, in fact, it changes just as quickly as that. France have picked up a penalty. Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Then Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing, American Magic, and Ineos Britannia struggling at the back after getting back up on the foils.
Yeah, so really close top mark rounding there. Emirates Team New Zealand followed round by Alinghi Red Bull Racing, pushing for the right-hand side of the course. American Magic got the split at the top and some nice clean air, so it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be close when they come back together.
Ineos Britannia, they come round the mark in sixth position after touching down in the bottom third of the course on leg two, down, heading down about halfway down leg two. We're looking for this cross as we look at a cross. USA coming back on starboard.
So we've got the incident here as to why Orient Express Racing got a penalty. It looked like they just tacked a little bit too close to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli there.
Protest, yeah, done.
And got a penalty and a pretty big punishment there.
No prisoners being taken in this first crew fleet race with the wind, and the yachts are flying. Emirates Team New Zealand in the 1-1 position, followed by American Magic, Alenia Red Bull Racing, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing, and Ineos Britannia.
Yeah, we've just got real low globally. Yeah, no worries. From here, Turkey. Nice, no, I'm currently thinking 2 for a left, but yeah, well, they're going to try and go 1 for a left, aren't they? Yeah, they're easy getting 1 for a left. Happy on that, maybe up a couple.
So all eyes forward for Emirates Team New Zealand. Let's see what the situation is like on American Magic.
Be soft here. Board down here in 3, 2, 1. Roger. Turning.
Emirates Team New Zealand now jibing. They'll be very close to ley line to the bottom mark. That'll be mark, the bottom mark gate, so leg 2. Still showing a pretty solid advantage over American Magic. After the lead change on leg 1, the New Zealanders are able to capitalise on leg 2, extending their lead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here what Emirates Team New Zealand do, whether they opt to jibe, which it looks like they're just doing. They're opting to jibe to take probably the same gate as American Magic and potentially defend from American Magic.
2 legs completed by Emirates Team New Zealand in these One Design 8040s, and they round the bottom mark for the first time and remain in the lead as they are followed around by American Magic.
The old risk reward there. Emirates Team New Zealand had the option left or right gate. They elected to do that rather late jibe to keep in phase with the trailing boat with American Magic. And once the leading boat is in phase with the trailing boat, very hard for the trailing boat to wriggle clear and to get out of phase and go over and boundary hop to the opposite side. So New Zealand again shutting down the race course.
Yeah, Glenn, it looks like there might be a few shifts out there. What's it looking like down on the water?
Definitely a few shifts coming through here. I think American Magic have just tacked on a little header there. They're actually putting the bow down and they're actually motoring really nicely across to the left-hand boundary. Looks like a little more pressure potentially over the left-hand side. Emirates Team New Zealand pretty much on boundary, having to tack anyway, but the race is actually really, really close. So the guys are having a really, really great battle here. Sailing the boats a little windward heel, Cant just slightly under in these choppier conditions. And for the size of the sea state, these boats are doing a really, really great job, ripping up wind, absolutely ripping up wind. We can't keep up anywhere near them with the camera cat, so they're absolutely boosting.
And to Glenn's point, look at how Ineos Britannia have got themselves back into the game after falling off the foils.
Certainly are. Just listen to Nathan.
Yeah, uppercut, nice. Hey, Prada go now. Magic go now. 10 seconds to hitting him. We're definitely we want to take this left here for 2 for a right. Yeah. Sorry, 2 for a left. It's about 5 more seconds. It's a reasonable lead here. 3, 2, 1, fire.
So we're just hearing Nathan Altridge. They're talking about hitting them. It means they want to position themselves to tack right in the face and give maximum dirty wind, so messed up wind, turbulence to the boat behind American Magic.
Yeah, it's payback for leg 1 where American Magic were facing Emirates Team New Zealand. So Nathan Altridge now repaying the favour back onto Tom Slingsby on American Magic as the boats track over towards the right, about midway up leg 3, thinking about what approach for the top mark.
American Magic sitting in the P2 position just behind Emirates Team New Zealand. On board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. currently sitting in 4th position. Just remember on that starboard helm is Jimmy Smith and, of course, Francesco Bruni. Both these men are competitors. They were in the match against Emirates Team New Zealand in America's Cup 36. They want to be there again in 37.
Okay on numbers, no slower than this, Jimmy.
I think he's still ahead by a couple of lengths. Copy that.
In the top third of the course now, Emirates Team New Zealand just keeping in phase with American Magic. Both boats on starboard. American Magic now tacking. They'll have one tack into the top mark from that position. Emirates Team New Zealand will be thinking about ley line.
Yeah, American Magic, they're just doing a little bit of a defensive maneuver on Alinghi Red Bull Racing, who are not too far behind them, just getting themselves in phase with their closest rival, Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
Emirates Team New Zealand with that final tack to hit the halfway mark in race number 3 of this preliminary regatta. Remember, points are critical. It's 10 points for the win. The top 2 teams, points-wise, go to the match race final at the end of the day, and they round the top mark and head down for leg number 4.
So we've got we've got Emirates Team New Zealand around first. We've got American Magic coming in to get the split at the top. They take the left turn gate, so they'll be going down the opposite side of the race course, hoping for a bit more pressure, a bit of a wind shift, something to get them back in to be able to attack Emirates Team New Zealand. And a really close cross there with Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, but Alinghi Red Bull Racing on starboard, so they have the right of way, and they are splitting the top gate.
So with Ineos and Britannia still to get into the halfway position, it's Emirates Team New Zealand ahead of American Magic, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing, and Ineos Britannia. Leg number 4 of 6 in race 3.
New Zealanders had a very good upwind leg. They extended their lead. Glen downwind configuration. What's happening with the foil setup now?
The little autopilot that's on board the boat, you know, automatic flight control with these boats, that'll be working extremely hard in these conditions. Quite bumpy. The little ultrasonic sensor out the front of the boat scanning the water, the IMU being filtered to actually fly the boat accurately. You can hear the hydraulics working on the boats for the sails and the systems on board. So the boats are working extremely hard, pretty much as hard as what the crew are to sail the boats accurately. So they're ripping downwind towards the bottom mark. A little lighter in the breeze now. The breeze has dropped about a knot and a half since we started, so they'll be reconfiguring the sails to just adjust the power and make sure that they're sailing the boats at their optimum.
How twitchy are these boats? You know, they're 40 foot. They're a lot smaller than the AC75s that we'll see next year. Just how twitchy and tricky are they to sail?
Extremely tricky in these conditions. When the sea state is quite large and the wind is getting lighter, the boats get really tricky to sail, and it's a real delicate balance between the helming and the trimming of the boats to really get the best out of it. As this breeze does get a little bit lighter, the boats actually get a little bit harder to sail. The flight control sometimes bounces the boat up a little higher because you don't have as much load in the sails as what you do when it's windier. So we could actually see some little hops and jumps. If you see a little puff of spray coming off the foil arms, that's when the foil is getting really close to the surface, and if that ventilates, the boat crashes down, has to re-grip the water again and lift the boat back out. So just keep your eye out for that as the breeze drops a little bit here.
Yeah,
it's not easy. It's hard enough, eh, on the downwards. Coming out with that. Great pressure here, right pressure. Still happy to go right though. Yeah, they're following. 2, 1, and all the way up.
Emirates Team New Zealand around the bottom mark, and they head up with the penultimate leg, leg 5 of number 6. You would have heard Nathan Aldridge say they're following us in reference to American Magic, and also confirming what Glenn Ashby said about how hard it is coming downwind.
New Zealand have done a good job of shutting down the second boat, that's American Magic, just by preempting what gate the trailing boat wants to take, and then putting in quite a late jibe in terms of the bottom of the course to keep in phase. So they locked American Magic on the same board. They weren't able to split away and create leverage.
And And Alinghi Red Bull Racing there just putting in a last-minute jibe to round that same mark as everybody else, right ahead of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, putting them right in their dirty air. It's going to be a really tough lane there for Luna Rossa to hold, and yet we see them opt for the tack out to clear their air pretty quickly.
Tidy little move on the inside line, right?
Yeah, that was a cracker.
Orient Express Racing having another good race. Up there. Just the learning curve for the French team will be vertical. Ben Ainsley, Ineos Britannia. They'll be disappointed in this performance. They had that touchdown on leg one, and pretty hard to come back when you get that far off the leading boats.
Just look at myself. Sorry. Okay, stand by. 2, 1. Forward down. Good. Light wheel. Okay, 19s.
So I think we saw all the boats by Ineos Britannia take that left turn gate to get them to the right-hand side of the course. It looks like we've had a bit of a wind shift to the right, you know, making that the favoured side. Glenn, what's it like on the water? We had a bit of a right shift.
Yeah, a little bit of a right shift, but also quite a drop in pressure, a drop in wind speed. So I wouldn't be surprised that the boats are really starting to get, you know, they're really going to work hard on having to power up the sails now. These next couple of manoeuvres into the top mark in a big sea state could be really, really critical. They'll be starting to think about, you know, the breeze getting lighter, and we absolutely have to keep the boats flying here. So definitely a lot of racing to come. The autopilot working really hard, really, really hard. You can see the boats moving around and the heads on board. So the boats are working really hard in this stuff.
And certainly the boats, remember, are on a J2 jib, slightly smaller in area than their J1, and thus all the trimmers are hunting for power, mindful that they need to keep the boat foiling. Emirates Team New Zealand out to a 200-metre advantage. That's as much as I've seen it. I've seen it down as low as 165, and then the best delta between Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic out to over 200 at the moment. So top third of the course, New Zealand have consolidated and stretched their lead just a little.
I just wonder, Peter, with your Emirates Team New Zealand, you heard Peter Burling and Nathan Aldridge suggest that downwind it was getting tough, that you're not going to take anything for granted on this last leg.
They have sailed a really tight race, almost like a match race against American Magic after they got that lead change up leg one and really kept in phase with the boat behind and controlled the action.
Yeah, I think for me that's what they've done a really nice job of. You know, with these gates at the top of the course and the bottom of the course, it's really easy for the boats behind to get a split and for the boat ahead to lose control. And Emirates Team New Zealand have just done a really nice job of keeping control of those boats behind, which is always what you're trying to do, really, Peter.
Emirates Team New Zealand approaching the top mark for the final time. About to complete leg number 5 of 6. They haven't been headed in this race so far. Anything can happen, though, on the downward leg. If what Glenn Ashby says is lightning pressure and the wind's starting to drop somewhat. A tiny little bit of touchdown on that right foot that was hanging up there, and they're on their way down.
So we've got American Magic here coming in on starboard. They're on the ley line. They're going to take that left turn. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli coming in on port. Is going to be pretty close between Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli here and Alinghi Red Bull Racing. But Luna Rossa on port, so they're going to tack in below Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Can they make the tack stick? American Magic there just going around that top mark, following Emirates Team New Zealand, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli just making the tack stick, but getting hunted down by Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
So a nice little dance around the top gate by Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Here come Orient Express Racing to complete leg number 5 and head on the downward leg.
I'm impressed by Alinghi Red Bull Racing, new team, as are Orient Express, taking it to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. New team, Alinghi, doing a fabulous job, I think, in this race. And what's happened is New Zealand have almost doubled their lead. The New Zealanders, to me, look pretty quick on the upwind legs.
So here's Lingy Red Bull Racing. As we've said over this weekend, back in the game, in the America's Cup game, for the first time in 20 years. Nice mix of crew experience and some young bucks in there as well. And they certainly haven't been at the back of the fleet all weekend. They've been sitting mid-pack and looking solid.
Yeah, they're looking really solid, these guys. They're doing a phenomenal job of sailing the boat in, you know, what can only be described as pretty tricky conditions, with the wind getting a bit softer, the wave state being quite messy and choppy. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy out there.
Lingy Red Bull Racing and American Magic. There'll be an intersection coming out, back with the New Zealanders, looking in control.
A little finger nod there from Nathan Archer. I think he was suggesting to the heli to get out of the way. Here it is right in front of them. Doing its job, though, giving us great pictures of the rest of the world. Fantastic pictures from Vilanova in Geltru.
Peter Burley, Andy Maloney.
Looks like they're going to struggle to maybe get to the finish line. They might have to throw in one more jibe just to get to the finish line, but they look pretty comfortable out there.
Yeah, one and in, perhaps. No, I think they might just track right through to the right-hand end of the finishing line.
Emirates Team in New Zealand about to complete win number 2 of this weekend regatta. Job done, maximum points, 10 points for Emirates Team New Zealand in the 3rd race of the weekend. 2 more fleet races to go. That will push them to 23 points on the ladder. We'll confirm all that when the full fleet has finished, and they will be followed home by American Magic. Glenn, we've been waiting for this sort of racing all weekend.
Certainly have. It's super nice to see the boats ripping around, and that start was amazing to watch out here. It was you know, the way that all shaped up and just how quickly the boats were washing off speed and re-accelerating to position themselves was super impressive. It's one of those ones that you've been dreaming about for quite a while, watching racing like that with these boats, and wow, what a treat.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli coming home in P3, pick up the 5 points. Jimmy Spittle, job done. Not too much emotion there. And here comes a Lingy Red Bull Racing. Straight as a dart, across the finish line, in position number 4. Arno Sorafigis on starboard helm. And it will be Orient Express Racing, who've already picked up a win in race number 1 this weekend. They will take out position number 5. But you must give big ups to Ineos Britannia, because they well fell off their fours on the first upwind leg and got back in the hunt.
They did. It was a tough race for those guys once they fell off the foils. Yeah, it's pretty punishing when you get it slightly wrong and you fall off the foils. You go from going 20 to 30 knots right down to kind of 5 or 6 knots, and yeah, it's pretty hard to catch up from there.
It certainly is. The amount of chopped up air at the back of the fleet, the amount of vortex that's coming off the back of the boats ahead of you makes it very difficult for a trailing boat. Sure, Ineos Britannia will fight hard in the next one. Emirates Team New Zealand, what's significant to me, that was a come from behind wind, and they're the sweet ones.
Let's go on board to Emirates Team New Zealand. Well, Peter Burling finally fleet racing. Nice job, buddy. Top points.
Yeah, it's nice to get off the line well. We really liked that right-hand side after a pretty limited build-up, and then I think we just did a good job executing. We were kind of a couple of seconds late at the start, which meant gave them that little jump, but then yeah, they obviously made that 140 and led us through, so really pleased with the way we took the one.
Hey, Pete, Hannah here. Just looking at the racing, you know, it's really tricky conditions. It looks really challenging to sail the boats downwind in particular. Can you just talk to us a bit about what it's like on board?
Yeah, it gets even more challenging when the chopper flies straight over your head by 50 metres. Just about got us off the foil there at the end, but no, it's just bumpy enough that it makes life a little tricky. Both up one and down as well, to be honest. Yeah, we just got to make sure you keep it fast and do the right things.
Pete, big moment, top mark, lead change. What was that setup all about?
Yeah, well, we were thinking about two tacking up, and then they went, you know, we thought we might have an opportunity to get through the leeward. Obviously got strong, and yeah, the rest was history.
All right, Pete, thanks for your time. Good luck in race 4.
Coming up to 16 seconds to go. Who's got the clear air? Who's got their time on distance right? In come the fleet. They're closely bunched together. Emirates Team New Zealand coming down underneath American Magic. Looking for clear air, getting out of the vortex is so important. Coming up to the start, up go the bows. The boats are pretty well bow. Beautiful start in the middle of the line by American Magic.
Oh, it is game on between American Magic and Emirates Team New Zealand. A mini rivalry
Clear
already
start,
in the second race of the day. Confirmation, clear start on race number 4. How's that for you, Glenn Ashby?
Look, it's absolutely epic here. The guys are really pushing the boats hard. They're pushing the ride height super high. I can see the tips of the foils piercing the surface of the water as they're coming across here to the right-hand side of the course over here on Orient Express. They are absolutely charging. They're actually really well and truly on the front row here. Great start by American Magic heading out to the left, but wow, they're pushing the boats hard, these guys. They're really trying to jack them up high and really get an early advantage while they can.
Yeah, American Magic, they're just getting the better of Emirates Team New Zealand off that start, forcing them to tack away onto port and go to the right-hand side of the course. But it's going to be interesting here. We've got 3 boats coming back on port, 3 boats coming back on starboard, but it looks to me like the boats on the left potentially just getting a little bit of a better shift.
Coming up to the first cross, beautiful start by Magic, and they have capitalised on that as the first cross comes across. Alingi Red Bull Racing ahead of Emirates Team New Zealand. So again, a very nice start by the Swiss. American Magic will be in that leader position.
Oh, slam dunk by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli on Emirates Team New Zealand, forcing them again to have to tack away, and they're having a bit of a tough time.
Certainly there's a bit of pinball going on there with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli dumping one on Emirates Team New Zealand, force them to tack away. You look up to windward, the leading boat will be American Magic. Alingi Red Bull Racing right in the mix in second position as they tack.
Slam dunk, it's a take no prisoners race. Race number 4, Hannah.
Yeah, the elbows are certainly out today, aren't they? There's no one giving an inch, and it's great for us to see.
So it's American Magic leading Alingi Red Bull Racing, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing, Emirates Team New Zealand, and Ineos Britannia trailing the fleet as they head into that final quarter of the race.
American Magic do a simo with Emirates Team New Zealand. The New Zealanders tacked. Then American Magic said, thanks very much. We'll have one right on your face, putting that vortex back onto the trailing boat.
Yeah, Glenn, what is it like, you know, when you're behind and somebody's right in your face there, that turbulent air? How hard does that make it to sail the boat?
Yeah, it does make the boat really tricky to sail. You can actually feel the vortex and the dirty air that's actually spinning off the back of those sails, and it actually travels downwind a long way, hundreds of metres in actual fact. So Emirates Team New Zealand will be definitely feeling the chopped up air. It does affect the performance quite a lot. Quite often you can be up to sort of 5 or 10% below your maximum speed target. So they'll be hurting a bit at the moment, getting bounced around.
American Magic with the late tag in front of the rest of the fleet, and they'll go around that right-hand marker and top the first gate in the lead in race number 4. Strong sailing by the Americans, followed around by Alingi Red Bull Racing. Then comes Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
What a top mark rounding. 4, 5 of the boats all within 20 seconds of each other going around that mark. Absolutely incredible scenes.
Almost like Formula 1 margins when you look at the margins on the left-hand side. 6 seconds, 9 seconds, 13 seconds. To use your phrase, they are ripping.
Oh, this is great stuff with that leading group are all just on a string. as they charge down on leg 2. American Magic roll in. Then there's Simo Jives, the group behind, with Alinghi Red Bull Racing wanting to keep their air clear of this group behind them with Orient Express also in the cavalcade as now they roar back towards the right-hand side.
Yeah, that was one high-pressure jibe. All 5 boats pretty much jibing exactly the same time. And, yeah, we saw some pretty wobbly boats through that jibe.
Orient Express Racing were trying to mimic a porpoise, but they kept it up on the foils, and that's a good look from the team on Orient Express Racing, that they kept it up and going. They are flying in race number 4, but at the front of the fleet, it is American Magic.
They have absolutely capitalised on their beautiful start. Then it is an arm wrestle with that group behind, with the Swiss, the Italians, and the French. The French now jibing away.
Yeah, and if you're on board American Magic right now, you're feeling pretty comfortable with most of the fleet. Not too far behind, but just about within your control.
Glenn, can you talk about downwind conditions now? You were concerned later in the race in race number 3. What's it like now in 4?
Very similar conditions, actually, as we saw in the previous race. On port jibe, going downwind, the waves are much more behind the boat. So the boats are actually sailing straight down the waves. So really, really tricky in a foiling boat, sailing dead down the waves. The boats are bouncing around. Really difficult to keep the foils in the water, and jibing from port to starboard. Super easy to lose it. And we've actually seen some really, really high flying. Just watching a couple of jibes there, almost losing the rudder a couple of times. So it's really, really tricky for these guys coming down. American Magic now just about coming around the bottom gate. American Magic will round the top gate in the lead of race number 4 in this preliminary regatta. Remember, points are at a premium. We have American Magic sitting on 14 points, just ahead of the Italians, but in front of those two, Orient Express Racing on 17. So they need maximum points to stay in the hunt as Alinghi Red Bull Racing round the bottom mark and head up for leg number 3.
Yeah, Alinghi Red Bull Racing split the course with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli going around the opposite mark, followed by Orient Express Racing. And coming in not too far behind, Emirates Team New Zealand hot on their heels. This chasing pack, it's really tight.
Yeah, they're all chomping at the bit to try and get back in touch. I think American Magic have a good little buffer over that group behind, with Alinghi, Orient Express Racing just pushing their way up. Ben Ainsley and Ineos Britannia also just not too far from getting a piece, getting into that group that are just up the track a little bit. But our race leader is American Magic.
Well across Luna Rossa and the French on the port boundary.
Freeze looks really nice on our inside. Fun race, slightly.
Just racing Alinghi here at the moment.
How's our mode?
Nice. Very similar angle.
Not had it, yeah, a little better here.
So really good comms there on board American Magic, talking about the other boats, talking about the pressure, talking about the shift, but just really, really calm actually on board.
I think they've got a good buffer, out to 132 metres, American Magic. And that just means they can watch the chaos behind. American Magic very composed in this one and put it down to their start. Certainly not for the faint-hearted behind them, with Alinghi Red Bull Racing just to windward and ahead of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Yeah, and we all know in fleet racing, when you're in the pack, it's slow, isn't it? You're just slowing each other down, and when you've got a little bit of space, you can start to stretch your legs and move forward. So
American Magic just over the halfway point of the course, heading into the three-quarter mark of the racetrack. Lead starting to diminish somewhat to Alinghi Red Bull Racing. It's gone from 130 metres, and they've dropped about 50 metres and allowed the Swiss back into this race. Anything can happen. One design, AC40s, fast 40-footers. But it's all about the sailing crews and how they harness Mother Nature.
Yeah, it'll be interesting here. Will American Magic slam dunk Alinghi Red Bull Racing. It looks like they've let them have a little bit of breathing space, so it looks like they will have clear air, so to speak, below American Magic, but a nice sort of loose cover, I guess, from American Magic to come back across towards the right-hand side of the race course.
We're halfway through this one. This is race 4. Six legs. American Magic have controlled the action. Just happy to stay in phase. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, to me, are doing a brilliant job. They're in touch. They're in touch. They've got a chance to have a piece of American Magic. If they could get this top mark approach and exit really, really accurately, they could nibble away a few more meters.
I think what I really liked about American Magic there was they tacked back on Alinghi Red Bull Racing. They stayed in phase and they've kind of set it up, so Alinghi Red Bull Racing are going to be following.
So American Magic have completed half the course, and they round the top mark and head on down for leg number 4 in race number 4 of this preliminary regatta. And look who's behind them, Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Arno Sarafagis on starboard helm, Maxime Bachelon on port helm. They will be loving this, lapping it up as Luno Rossa, Prada Pirelli go around the left-hand mark and cross and head down for leg 4. Orient Express Racing also heading down, as are Emirates Team New Zealand, who are leading the regatta at the moment, but the pressure is on to get points.
One Design Racing, just fantastic, as Emirates Team New Zealand trying to nibble their way back, looking ahead, how can we make a gain, with Orient Express Racing holding them off as Ineos Britannia come round the mark, trying to get back in touch with the boat immediately ahead of them.
We've got a 4-boat shootout here for second at the moment, it feels like to me, with American Magic leading the way reasonably comfortably, but I think you can never take your foot off the gas in this racing.
American Magic look really smooth at getting down. Any condition change out on the course? Glenn, how's it looking? We're into the second half of the race now.
No change in conditions out here. The boats are absolutely ripping downwind. They really are. They're just like they're on rails. I mean, we're only around 8 knots of breeze here on the water, and we're sort of going downwind, you know, in the camera cat at about 25 knots, and it's like we're going backwards compared to what these guys are doing. Really impressed with Alinghi Red Bull Racing, how they're actually sailing their boat. They've been pushing really hard. Obviously, the really light conditions, different. Haven't spent a lot of time in the boat, but these guys are doing a brilliant job sailing their boat really, really accurately, and they're actually chipping away at American Magic,
this
who
is
really
the race
sort of
committee.
set the 16. You know.
We are moving the windward gate. Course length is now 1.1 nautical miles.
Race committee have
American
just gone.
Now. Sorry, Peter, just to finish off there, American Magic now coming down to the bottom mark here. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, I think, really have to work hard to hold off Orient Express Racing, so that's really the battle. I think American Magic are gone, but the racing is really just behind them.
So American Magic are still in the lead in race number 4, about to complete leg number 4. They haven't been headed since the start of the race and rounding the top mark, and they round the bottom mark for the 4th time and head upwind on leg number 5.
I think the leading boat is pretty safe and gone, but it's all on behind with Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli fighting it out for second and third. The exit to the bottom mark gate and the entry and exit around these marks is so crucial. Big gates to be made. Emirates Team New Zealand have made up a spot there. They crossed on starboard. They'll go through the gates pretty well locked together even.
Yeah, really tough mark rounding there for Orient Express Racing. They had to do a big manoeuvre. They were on port. Emirates Team New Zealand on starboard. They had to dip behind them, and it made their entry to that gate mark really tricky. So we saw them kind of almost fly out the water at the bottom there, trying to keep the boat in the water. But with Ineos Britannia not too far behind, actually making pretty good grounds to catch up to this pack. The
angle of the bottom mark gate with New Zealand and Orient Express Racing, going to opposite marks. There's a gate at the bottom mark, and they really went around, locked together. It'll be interesting to see when we come up to the next cross between Orient Express and Emirates Team New Zealand. And that, with that little arm wrestle going on between New Zealand and France, that brings a GBR back into the game.
So Orient Express Racing on starboard, Emirates Team New Zealand having to dip behind. They are the giveaway boats, so they have to get out of the way. So super close all through the fleet here. We've got a big battle between Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli for second and third, and a big battle going on between the French and the Kiwis for fourth and fifth. Heading to the halfway mark of leg number 5, and it's American Magic leading Alinghi Red Bull Racing from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Orient Express Racing, Emirates Team New Zealand, and Ineos Britannia.
In the middle of the pack, there's really two really distinct battles going on with Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Emirates Team New Zealand muscling it out with the French. Out in the lead, American Magic are looking back saying, "You just get it on, you guys," and that makes it very, very comfortable for the leading boat.
It certainly does, Peter. And we've got Emirates Team New Zealand with a little bit of space here to play with, so it'll be interesting to see whether they can make some moves on Orient Express Racing and make it count and get past them. But the French team just doing a brilliant job here in this race of keeping it super close.
What's important to keep in mind on every point, every time you pass someone, if you can pass, and that's what Peter Burling and team will be trying to do, it's a point on the board, and it could be so valuable later in the afternoon. But it is Orient Express Racing holding off the New Zealanders. American Magic just in a comfortable position in the lead.
Cross here coming up between Alinghi Red Bull Racing and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli for second place. And Alinghi Red Bull Racing just getting the better of them at the moment.
On board, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
You see for pressure?
Pretty even, I would say.
Yeah, Pierre.
I just slower still, but it's good one now. All over close to the line.
Makes a great sight when you see them racing up the track like that. We have one more leg to go, and it's American Magic rounding the top mark for the last time and heading home in race number 4 and looking to bag that valuable 10 points in this first preliminary regatta of the 37th America's Cup. Emirates Team New Zealand sitting in position 5. They currently lead the ladder, but they have a long way to go and they need points.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing here, leading Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in second and third respectively, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing about to go around the mark, and it looks pretty tight here between Emirates Team New Zealand and Orient Express Racing.
Well, the other two boats that are the closest together, New Zealand are not on ley line, so that'll be one more. Oh, they're able to squirt it, so Emirates Team New Zealand had enough to dip the French and then make the mark. That is a position change for New Zealand.
Big moment for Emirates Team New Zealand. One might say gutsy moment or smart moment.
Yeah, my heart was in my mouth there. That big dip and then that big squeeze up to make the mark. We've seen in some of the racing those types of manoeuvres, the boats falling off the foils, but what an execution.
Yeah, I think with a bit more wind speed, it means he can do a bit of a shoot for the mark, and Peter Burling did that as Ineos Britannia come around, still not around, 180 metres behind New Zealand. The next cross between New Zealand and France will be interesting, and then the battle is on for second and third. But out in the lead, it is American Magic. A faultless race. They won the start, and from there they closed the course down, and I think they've done a masterful job in this race.
Let's do a boundary drive back.
Yep, that sounds good. gosh, it feels alright in this corner.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Cool as a cucumber on American Magic as they lead the fleet home in race number 4. Alingi Red Bull Racing sitting in position 2. And Emirates Team New Zealand having picked up and just crossed in front of Orient Express Racing. That's a 3-point position for them.
Yeah, if you're on board Alingi Red Bull Racing right now, you are eyes behind, looking at Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, making sure that you're matching their jibe. Glenn, how's it looking out there? It's pretty tense here in the race booth.
It's unbelievable watching how close these guys are sailing to each other, and that's probably when you're really honestly happy to have an autopilot ride height system flying the boat for you, because they are super close to each other and pulling off some incredible manoeuvres. So flying that manually would be nearly impossible. You'd have your work cut out in this sea state, but the autopilot ride height system is making these boats sail beautifully. So sometimes you need to rely on technology, and you know, pretty much even Stephen in there, I reckon, will be able to sail one of these around the track, having not done it before.
American Magic get the win in race number 4 of this first preliminary regatta here in Vilanova Geltru in Spain, and they bagged top points. That's 10 big points for American Magic. They've been teasing us all regatta. We've talked about them as a team that looks slim and have been the improving team throughout this regatta. Now they've shown us they are here to do the job, and they have done the job in race number 4. But how about Alingi Red Bull Racing? They'll come home in 2nd position and pick up the valuable 7 points for 2nd position, followed home by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, crossing the line right now, and they bag 5 points. And it appears at this particular point in time, yes, there it is, Emirates Team New Zealand coming home in 4th, pick up the 3 points, takes them to 26, nudging them a little bit closer towards that match race final, having finally got past Orient Express Racing, who will come home in 5th position, followed by Ineos Britannia.
Good comeback there by Ineos Britannia down that final downwind leg. They really closed in on the rest of the field, so they'll be taking some positives into the next race.
I think if Ineos Britannia can get off the line and be in the front line, like we saw with American Magic, it's really hard for the trailing boats because of the amount of turbulence coming off that leading boat. Hard for the trailing boats to get back and get in a position to create a pass, especially if you're back in 6th position. But this team in this race, American Magic, Jimmy Spittle, Paul Goodison, I think they really did a great job and put it down to the start.
I'll tell you what, quite simply on my initial calculations, that was a monster play by American Magic. They jump into P2 in the standings, and we'll confirm those shortly. But on my calculations, they didn't say that they sit in P2 on the standings on 24 points behind Emirates Team New Zealand on 26.
6 seconds to go here. Alingi Red Bull Racing have some problems. They've come off the foils. I think there might be something wrong on them, but with 20 seconds to go, American Magic, Emirates Team New Zealand lining up on starboard, the rest of the fleet lining up on port. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli are going to have to dip behind these 2 boats for sure. It looks like Ineos Britannia are following. With 5 seconds to go, we've got Emirates Team New Zealand, American Magic on starboard. They're going to cross the line first, and what a start. Hit the line. Be of the bang for Emirates Team New Zealand.
Cracking start for Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic. Remembering, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli had to start behind the fleet. Did they do it correctly? We'll soon find out, but there's real problems for Alingi Red Bull Racing.
Yeah, Alingi Red Bull Racing off the foils, that's a shame, but more importantly, already the match racing has started. American Magic wanted to get straight back into the action with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli because, of course, the top 2 boats go through. Emirates Team New Zealand won the start, and it was the American Magic that said, right, we'll start the match race. We'll get this on. We're looking at match racing later in the day.
Oh, and it's busy at this first boundary with 4 boats all coming in together. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in a really tough spot there with Ineos Britannia and American Magic right on their air.
Glenn, some pretty strategic thinking affecting the tactics.
Absolutely. At the moment, we saw these boats coming out to the right-hand side of the course, and it was just bang, 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 all tacking across. Unfortunately for Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, they are getting squeezed. They're actually going to be the big losers out of this next sector of the race. Emirates Team New Zealand sailing a nice, clean line over by themselves, nice, clean air, keeping their goggles clear, going forwards, and they're actually going to be heading out to the right-hand boundary. I'll actually have them in a fairly strong position at the moment.
I think what we're seeing here is the effect of that penalty on Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, and American Magic reacted to that instantly, saying, we're looking at the end game, we're looking at the match race, shut down Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. With Alinghi in trouble, we're in the main game later in the day. Really smart thinking.
Yeah, really smart, but they've got to be careful because actually Orient Express Racing are not too far behind on 19 points, so if they let them get too far ahead, they're going to have a little bit to worry about.
So all go in the final fleet race. Race number 5 of the weekend, ahead of the match race final. Emirates Team New Zealand with just under 100-metre lead on the field. They sit on 26 points as we head into the top mark for the first time.
Fascinating, fascinating. It's just great to see the thinking that goes behind these teams, how quickly they react to what's happening around them. And I think one of the big moments to me would be the call by the umpires on Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. It changed the whole shape of pre-start.
Just a little note to wherever you're watching around the world, if you take a look at our scoreboard as it sees, our leaderboard, you'll notice there are the 2 green markers. The 2 green markers, there is one above Emirates Team New Zealand and one above American Magic, who are sitting in the P3 position. Those 2 key markers indicate that those at this particular point live are in the match race final. Well, look, it's just but it's just changed. Well, it hasn't just changed. It was just American Magic changed their position. So right now, as it stands, Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic will fight it out in the match race final. But there's 5 legs to go.
Yeah, a long way to go yet. An awful long way to go yet. But I think that gaggle of boats, USA, Italy, GBR.
Big dip there by Ineos Britannia. They were on port, they were the giveaway boat. They had to dip behind American Magic and Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. Coming back on starboard, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli in a pretty tough lane there.
Emirates, meanwhile, top mark, first time. Emirates Team New Zealand, beautiful start. They had no boats around them. They lead at Mark 1.
They do indeed, and as Glenn says, they have a clear goggles to come down to start leg number 2. Here comes American Magic. And we'll get an update for you on what is going on with the Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Around come Orient Express Racing. They go on an opposite tack to American Magic, and they are both heading down. And here comes Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
1 and turning. All yours.
And there's Ineos Britannia.
Yeah, it was really close at the top of that first upwind leg between the French, the Americans, the Italians. The French just having to do a big, big dip to give way to the Americans and the Italians, but still squeezed around that mark pretty comfortably in 3rd, but it's really close between those 3.
Emirates Team New Zealand now have jibed. They came right over to the boundary. They pushed that boundary really hard to open up the runway to do a long, long starboard, which then should set them up almost for the bottom mark approach. But Glenn, the decision-making and the clarity of thinking by American Magic in terms of what unfolded pre-start, that is really clever sailing by the Americans.
Yeah, American Magic doing a fantastic job. We're just looking at the bow on bow as they're coming down to the bottom part of the course here. Those little twin skin mainsails sheeted almost the same as they are on the upwind. The boats are so efficient, and with the big jib coming down, we're just seeing Emirates Team New Zealand here, just keeping in touch with American Magic, just not letting them get any separation and any gauge, and that's really important at this point of the race. You don't want to let them get away. You don't need to win by 500 metres, you just need to win by half a length, and they'll be absolutely keeping tabs on these guys, making sure that they don't get any separation. They're confident enough in their boat handling. They'll just stay between the next mark and American Magic, and if they sail the boat well, they should be in good shape.
First half of the downwind, American Magic made a gain where there was separation. It looks like when American Magic came back from the right, they made a gain. New Zealand have reacted to that, and now both boats are on the same jibe.
Let's stay on board American Magic. They're hunting down Emirates Team New Zealand.
Okay, that crash, continuing here. Okay, stand by. Or down in 3, 2, 1, or down.
Oh, troubles for Emirates Team New Zealand. They've touched down.
Oh, that is a huge moment in this race. Emirates Team New Zealand off the foils. They didn't stick that jibe, and American Magic went a little bit further, stayed up on the foils through that jibe, and that's a lead change.
Huge lead change. Here it goes, Pete.
Well, the boat there was ventilation on the rudder, and in Emirates Team New Zealand, that's what can happen with these boats in the chop. The New Zealanders did a poor jibe, and now they fall behind the pack. In the meantime, American Magic take the lead.
American Magic taking advantage of a mistake made by Emirates Team New Zealand. They are hard to fly. Around comes Orient Express Racing. GBR now getting themselves back in the game. Points mean nothing for them, but they would love a strong finish to this regatta. There go Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. Glenn, what did you make of that?
Yeah, Emirates Team New Zealand, they're jibing. We're just talking about staying in between the mark and your opposition, and unfortunately an unforced error there. Just jumped out of the water off the back of a wave and vented both foils in the middle of the jibe, and a massive touchdown there. They've got a big job to do digging themselves out of this hole. A lot of dirty air now to get through as well, so they're going to have to really, really put the hammer down here to try and get back into this race.
I think what you might find, as much as it was a dramatic moment for Emirates Team New Zealand, they may just have enough points. And as you can see, the two green markers above the positions of Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic say they're still in the fight. Take a look at this.
As Glenn pointed out, they went in at the crucial moment when they went through the jibe. The boat jumped off a wave, the boat ventilated, and then the boat fell off the foils. So Emirates Team New Zealand looked in control, and then they've opened an opportunity for the likes of Alingi, Red Bull Racing, although they're out of it. So it is really the team to look for, the Orient Express, who were on 19 points as they tack. Orient Express went in with 19 points also to Emirates Team New Zealand 26. But Orient Express are the team that are really putting the pressure on the New Zealanders for the final.
Orient Express Racing are doing a brilliant job of closing the gap down to American Magic. They are putting the hammer down, and that gap is closing.
So on board Orient Express Racing, what's going through the mind of Quentin Delapierre and the rest of the crew?
Alors 10 cap, ouais, presse un peu. Ouais. Il est vraiment 25 de target.
Quand tu veux, cap.
Et stand by.
Ouais.
All off. Port down. 2, 1, lock, dernier.
Ah oui, le board up.
7 de 4, les gars, c'est vraiment...
Orient Express Racing team had the least amount of time on the water. They've only had the boat, 14 sailing days, and they are in with a chance of getting into the final. I'm really impressed, very, very impressed by the new teams. Orient Express Racing and Alingi.
And this will be a real good chance for a young team that are learning this AC40, Peter, to understand how to, when you're in this position, to stay in this position. We saw them win a race before. We've seen them lead in earlier fleet races, but
this is the race committee. We are moving the leeward gate, course shortened to 0.9 nautical miles.
So a shortening of the course there from our race officials on leg 3 of 6. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli here, chasing down Orient Express Racing and American Magic.
Getting a little righty, guys.
Never a dull moment. When you think it's just progressing to its natural end, and then something happens. These boats are very, very unforgiving if you make a mistake. But this team, no mistakes. Keeping the pressure on. Oh, have I given them the kiss? No, they've stuck the...
Just watch the jig.
They have stuck the tack on the foils.
Yeah.
Well, if there is any team under threat of not making the match race final, it will be American Magic sitting on 24 points. Because if they dump out, then you could see the potential of Orient Express Racing going through. On my calculations, though, Orient Express Racing would have to win it, and you'd have to see USA down really near the bottom of the field. So as you see on your scoreboard there, down below, USA and New Zealand still in the position to be in the match race final as American Magic complete half of this final fleet race in the preliminary regatta in Vilanova Geltru, followed around by Orient Express Racing. There goes Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, and Emirates Team New Zealand starting to steam in towards the top gate.
Few mistakes in this race. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli pre-start. They had a boundary penalty. Emirates Team New Zealand falling off the foils. Amazing what pressure does.
Yeah, there's really no room for error at this level, is there? It is incredibly tight, and the level is incredibly high, and these are the best of the best sailors in the world out there racing in one design AC40s, identical boats. It's just great to see them face off, isn't it?
So confirmation as they start the second half of this final race of the Spanish Mediterranean. It's American Magic leading Orient Express Racing, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Emirates Team New Zealand and Ineos Britannia. No sign of Alinghi Red Bull Racing, no official confirmation as to what's gone down, but it's a real shame for them because they have been impressing all weekend, getting better and better.
Glenn, you've probably got a handle on what happened to Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Have you got anything that you can give us?
Unfortunately, nothing heard for Alinghi Red Bull Racing. I'd say it's been a mechanical for them. Yeah, they unfortunately were both foils fully under the boat in the home position or the dock position, so they've obviously had some sort of a mechanical issue. American Magic coming down here now, really important jibe for them. This is you know, a real tricky one for them. The waves behind, this is the tricky jibe to do. So watching American Magic, all the boats jibing onto the starboard here, you know, need to pull this off. So keep your eyes peeled.
Big moment just happened between Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli and Orient Express with a big cross. But American Magic coming through their final jibe and making it stick. With 2 more legs to go, they're looking pretty comfortable.
Very comfortable. I'm really impressed how American Magic engineered 2 things. A, pre-start, they reacted to that penalty against Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. And then when the opportunity came up for American Magic, when Emirates Team New Zealand had a bad jibe, they jumped.
So defensive move here by American Magic, putting in an extra jibe to make sure that they are following or leading Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli around this mark, and great defensive sailing there.
American Magic heading up for leg number 5 and leading the fleet in race number 5 of this preliminary regatta in Vilanova Geltru. Confirmation, hydraulic issue with Alinghi Red Bull Racing. There goes Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, followed in and around the same mark by Orient Express Racing.
So Luna Rossa there, I think, had to jibe or do a big dip on Orient Express Racing, who were on starboard. So they opted to jibe and lead the French around that mark, forcing the French now to tack away. It's close racing out there.
Team New Zealand, Emirates Team New Zealand certainly had their issues in this one, but they have still done enough earlier in the regatta to hold on to their position to go through to the match race.
Placed up and up out of the tech. They didn't quite go all the way to the ground. No, they didn't. It looks like there's nice fresh air as well, eh? Yeah.
Ineos Britannia still making it down to the bottom mark to complete leg number 4. Let's go back on Emirates Team New Zealand because they're chasing. They will not. They are a dog in a fight. Don't worry about that.
way ahead of these guys. It's good for us.
That intersection there was interesting. I wondered whether Orient Express Racing was going to put themselves in a position to really force Emirates Team New Zealand to do an extra tack. So the French were pretty kind on the New Zealanders there. Two groups. We've got the group coming in from the right. That's USA and Italy. Then France and New Zealand. As they come back through, it's about keeping clear here. Who's got the clamp? Who's got the push forward? I think Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli have tacked in front of the French.
Yeah, they're making life really difficult for Orient Express Racing there. Although not the best tack by Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli. Their boat speed is well down. So actually, Orient Express Racing managing to gap off to Windward and potentially keep their lane clear.
Well, here's the thing now. Just keep your eye on the score ticker, the position ticker at the bottom of your screen, wherever you're watching. The two green marks on the top of Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic denote the fact that they will be at this point in time in the match race final. And if you're starting to think about the psychological battle, Glenn Ashby, if it sticks as it is, American Magic will have won the last two races, and they go on with momentum into the match race final against Emirates Team New Zealand.
Absolutely, American Magic will be taking great satisfaction in making sure they're looking in their rear-view mirrors at the other boats out on the course. And breezes dropped just a little bit, shifted to the right probably about 10-12 degrees, and I think American Magic sort of picked up a little righty there. They're sailing the boat really nicely. They're not pushing too hard, but they're pushing at sort of 95%, not risking operating at that 100% margin where you can have an unforced error. So they're sailing the boat really, really well, right up at the top level of where it needs to be. And I think the other two teams behind, Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli and Orient Express Racing, having a really great battle out on the left-hand boundary. So still plenty of racing to come, and as we've seen before, one mistake, one touchdown, and everything can change. So they'll be really concentrating hard to make sure they're sailing the boats accurately and getting the best out of the performance.
We just saw that Simo tack there by Orient Express Racing and Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli. It was absolute beauty by the French. And once they can get clicked in, I'd expect the French to make a little bit of a gain here. We can see them sucking up underneath, reducing the gauge, the separation between France and Italy. I'd put that down to a very well executed tack by Orient Express Racing, putting now the wind shadow, the turbulent breeze back onto the trailing boat.
American Magic around the top mark for the final time of heading home, trying to make it 2 out of 2. They won race number 4. Can they win race number 5 as they head in towards the match racing? Look at Emirates Team New Zealand steaming in to their top mark.
They are steaming into that top mark. All three of them neck and neck and neck, and it's going to be fascinating to see. Orient Express Racing had to put a tack in, Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli have to put a tack in, and Emirates Team New Zealand charging through to Leeward, and looks like they've overtaken.
Great comeback by Emirates Team New Zealand. They've managed to pass two boats on this upwind leg, so that consolidates their position, barring another a jibe or a touchdown. But Emirates Team New Zealand look obviously strategically, tactically had a great last upwind leg.
They were in top gear and flying.
They were ripping coming into that top mark. What I really like about Emirates Team New Zealand in this race, they had that touchdown, but it was calm on board. Nobody panicked. It was stay patient, stay in the race, wait for that passing opportunity, and they've done it.
Oh, they've touched down again.
The kiss of death on them, and they've touched down again. But they look like they've just managed to recover it. Glenn, can you see what's going on out there?
Yeah, that was another moment that we were talking about just before, and I think it was the commentator's curse, but they've managed to dig themselves out of the hole, and after making that fantastic passing manoeuvre with that little right shift that we were seeing coming down the course, well back in the game, but nearly threw it away all again, but had just enough pace on that the foils were able to lift the boat back out of the water again, and they had enough power in the sails to dig themselves out of the hole. They're sailing the boat quite nicely now, and actually heading down, but it's American Magic that are really stretching away here. They're just they're in cruise mode now. They'll just be doing everything they can conservatively just to get the boat to the finish line. Great race, though, behind with Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli just jibing now. Orient Express Racing jibing inside. They're really trying to put the elbows out and keep Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli behind them. The French doing a brilliant job. You know, haven't had a lot of time in the boat, but they're sailing the boat beautifully, and they'll be taking a lot of confidence out of their performance out there today.
I tell you what I'm going to say about this one, Peter. I tell you that move and the second touchdown in this race by Emirates Team New Zealand. I'm just going to play the that's pressure card.
Yeah, but everyone makes mistakes. But what I was impressed was about how they kept their composure and their recovery. And it's about uncritical decisions that people don't panic and get back to what they know they can do. So that was, although they made an error, Emirates Team New Zealand recovery from that error and getting their composure was impressive, as are this team. American Magic, beautiful race to take out this one.
American Magic come home and they make it 2 from 2. They go back to back, win races 4 and 5, and they charge into the match race final in the inaugural preliminary regatta for the 37th America's Cup in Barcelona in 2024. Very, very impressive, and despite 2 touchdowns, one might figure that Emirates Team New Zealand will come home in second position, but as you can see, the green lights above their position on the scoreboard, they will meet American Magic in that final. So they've got out of jail, they've done okay, and they're going to go to this mini big dance, we'll call it.
I cannot wait to see this face-off. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see these two teams go at it in the build-up to the 37th America's Cup, just over a year away.
Emirates Team New Zealand had an eventful race, but they come over the line to take second with all that went on. Peter Burling and all that experience that they've had sailing 49ers, Olympic sailing, come to the fore.
And another impressive performance by Orient Express Racing. They'll pick up the 5 points. It won't be enough, but they will walk away from this weekend pretty satisfied with what they've done.
Incredibly satisfied. New team, they've only sailed the boat for 14 days, and to end up where they have is a very, very impressive. Luna Rossa have shut down, so they've had a Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, a bad jibe.
Yep, that's what happens, but they will not be in the main game. And the big show will be American Magic. Let's go on board American Magic and get the thoughts of Tom Slingsby. Tom, it's Stephen here from America's Cup Television. Congratulations, 2 in a row. Looking strong, buddy, looking strong.
Yeah, we love a bit of breeze here. We've sailed really well today, and yeah, it's great to be in the final. The wind is dying out a lot, which isn't our favourite thing, but we feel like we've learned a few lessons from yesterday, and we'll have a crack.
Tom, Peter Lester here. Just talk us through pre-start and what went on with Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. How did that affect your tactics?
You might have to remind me. It's all a bit of a blur today. We've already done 3 races.
Well, they went out and got a penalty on the boundary, and you reacted to that.
Yeah. Oh, yes, correct. Yeah, they got a boundary penalty in the pre-start, so that was in the back of our minds. But they did a pretty good start. It didn't seem like they lost too much, and then yeah, we had an opportunity to hit our closest competitor, and with it being Luna Rossa, who are an extremely strong team, we had to take that opportunity.
Hey, Tom, just one final thought before you get ready for the big show. How satisfying is it to see so much progression through this regatta?
Yeah, it's great for us. We felt quite strong heading into this event when the breeze was up, but we didn't realise we had holes in our game in the light stuff. So, yeah, look, we went back and looked at the footage after yesterday, and we've come up with a few ideas, and hopefully it helps us in this last race.
Well done, mate. Go get ready for the match race final.
Okay, cheers. Thanks, guys.
There was almost a look of relief on his face when he lifted the goggles going, okay, we can do this, we can do this.
Yeah, it's been a big day. They've had 3 fleet races. It's been a really big day for them. So it's kind of just to breathe a sigh of relief, reset, get your head into a match racing game, which is, you know, pretty different strategy.
Totally different strategy. And I think what was interesting is
So on board American Magic, let's have a think about how we have seen them progress through the weekend. Let's just take a look. They were 3rd in race number 1. They were 5th in race number 2. Then they started to show something. Race number 3 came home 2nd, and then 4 and 5 go bang, bang, just like that, to show the rest of the fleet here to play. And now Emirates Team New Zealand, having made a couple of fluffs in that final race, a little bit of pressure on. That's what it's all about at this elite level.
I think they love the pressure, these guys, both teams. I mean, Tom Slingsby, he didn't even know the impact of what happened in pre-start until prompted.
USA, this is the race committee. As the overall leader after fleet racing, you get to pick your entry side for the match. Please confirm if you would like to enter on port or starboard.
And we wait. So port or starboard, they get to choose. Now the suggestion from Tom Slingsby was the wind was getting a bit lighter, so that could be the key to this.
Yeah, hi Mel, do you copy us, Team USA?
Team USA, go for race committee.
Yeah, hi Mel, we'll go with a port entry.
Good copy, USA. New Zealand, you will be starboard entry.
The side that you entered, certainly at the 36th America's Cup, had a big bearing. If the port entry boat has a 10-second advantage. They come in, there's a 10-second offset. Port is 10 seconds entering the start box and starboard. That means when they get back in the start box and turn to come back to the line, they really have the first cut at where they want to start. For the trailing boat, there's an awful lot of turbulence from that lead back boat.
And we will watch that unfold as we confirm the fleet racing here in the first ever preliminary regatta of the 37th America's Cup. And that boat and that team that you see on screen will take out the inaugural preliminary regatta on the back of 2 big wins in the final fleet races. American Magic are your champions here in Vilanova, Geltru, and look what that means to the team. Man, that was Riley Gibbs slamming Tom Slingsby on the back, and Paul Goodison and Michael Manager are on board. Look what this means. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, these guys are stoked to come away with the win. I think, you know, Emirates Team New Zealand had a target on their back this weekend, and for these guys to come out and beat them, I think, yeah, real bounce for American Magic.
Well, we talked about American Magic on the practice day, and we said the team to watch, and they have really come up with the high expectation that we all had, and for them, they won this regatta today when the fleet racing component, they were the top point scoring team of the day.
Magic, just want to thank you guys for a great weekend. Appreciate the efforts.
Terry Hutchinson, who's the boss at American Magic.
Thank you, American Magic.
Thanking the race committee. But
and
yeah,
congrats to you.
Brilliant job by American Magic.
Yeah,
well-deserved winners.
Congrats to American Magic, and yeah, thanks to Ian, Mel, race committee team, and also Richard, his team as well, for putting on such a great event.
So confirmation
Thanks,
that you're champions of the
weekend.
very first preliminary regatta here at Vilanova Geltru is the New York Yacht Club's American Magic by a single point, because we couldn't get the match race underway. 34 points to Emirates Team New Zealand's 33. Both picked up double race wins, but it was the more consistency by American Magic through the fleet race. And it probably comes down to, goes right back to race number 1, where American Magic finished 3rd and Team New Zealand finished 2nd. It was 5 points versus 3 points, and that's what it came down to. So we go right back to the beginning, but this is huge going forward.
Yeah, fine margins always in these types of regattas, but yeah, as I said, just the momentum and the hype that this team will get from this, big celebrations. It's a long old road, the America's Cup, and these little milestones, these little celebrations on the way are really important for the team.
And in this technological race, these AC40s are a critical part of AC37. Next up, we're off to Jeddah, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and looking forward to preliminary regatta number 2 on the Red Sea. We talk about history, well, the dows of the Red Sea. That'll be something to look forward to see, but we will be at the Jeddah Yacht Club and Marina, and a city that is rich in heritage. And this will be another one to see how much improvement all these teams have made from Vilanova as they head to Jeddah late November, racing early December. What a weekend has it been, but most importantly, we got fleet racing and show you how cool these AC40s are when they are flying, and they are flying big. Just quickly, final thoughts?
I just think we're in for a really close 37th America's Cup. These challenges, there's several of them that are capable of winning.
Yeah, these new teams on the block for this America's Cup, Lingy Red Bull Racing and Orient Express Racing, did such a great job this weekend. So I'm excited to see how they start to go. And
let's just quickly go into the water. Glenn Ashby, I hope he's still got his heads on. Thoughts from this regatta, Glenn?
Yeah, look, a fantastic result, obviously, for American Magic. And, Tom Slingsby, Riley Gibbs, Paul Goodison and Michael Meninger, fantastic job. And, Terry Hutchinson, been waiting for a while to have a win. So, great job.
All right, on behalf of the commentary team and all the people here at America's Cup TV that have brought you the very first preliminary regatta in Vilanova. Congratulations, American Magic. We're back in late November, early December in Jeddah as we head towards America's Cup 37 in Barcelona.